Blog Talk Radio.
Power in the people. Power in the people. Power in the people. Power in the people. We gon' fight, we gon' shout for our rights without a doubt. We gon' love, we gon' sing, we gon' rise and do our thing. We gon' stand and join hands, united as one, we're in demand. Hear our voice, young and old, fight the lies, let the truth be told. Power in the people. Power in the people.
Yo, the Build 720. What's up, man?
Morning. Hey, what's up?
Another Sunday. Beautiful Sunday, man. It was raining yesterday. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's not sunny at all. It's rainy day.
Yeah, man. There's I believe it's Yoruba. They have a deity, as they call him, a principal, called Shango. Boom. Thunder. Yeah. So, yeah, man, Shango was on yesterday, man. Out
Yeah,
on
it
the
was
West
great.
Coast.
It was great. I'm used to that from the East Coast, but hearing out here, I just thought it was some kids upstairs dropping their toys or something.
Oh, man. Yeah, but it's good, though. California needs it. California needs as much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, actually, probably the whole southern or southwest needs rain, man, because, yeah, I saw a couple of reports, man, like Arizona and New Mexico, Nevada, and Utah, man. We just need that rain. But then again, I mean, we do live in a desert climate, so, yeah. So speaking of Shango, today's topic is from gods to goddesses to mental slaves. And today I kind of want to get into how our ancient African family, our ancestors, built this paradigm throughout the world, this concept. And sometimes when I do talk about our ancient African ancestors, I am talking about the oldest civilizations on the planet. And when you also talk about civilizations, period, you will definitely see similarities in this particular concept, a high level of consciousness through nature, basically, and living with the land and trying to be one with the land. As I mentioned, Shango, and I mean, there's many principles out there where ancient peoples described nature and how they wanted to work with nature. So I don't want to get into a long historical piece on from the goddess and God concept to where we are now in terms of a historical timeline, but more so just kind of get into the concept, the overall concept from then to now. So my question, man, is in your humble and wise opinion, were you ever taught growing up about this principle, about this divine understanding through a human psyche. Not just your parents. I'm just talking about overall. Did anyone, or did you ever run across this concept of divinity between man and woman, or the whole idea that there is, outside of the Christian, Muslim, and Judaism principles, like just the concept in itself? Did you ever run across this information, especially from our ancient ancestors?
I'm going to have to go on record as saying no. A lot of information that I have gained throughout, my present life, I feel that, I've had to do a lot of reading. I've had to do a lot of listening. I've had to do just sometimes a lot of meditating because, growing up in the South is basically, Christianity. My family is very much, they were raised and brought up in the Baptist churches, and so that was pretty much that was my basis, when I was born, and that was kind of what I was born into. And these other concepts, I would hear things every now and then, but it was a seek and find. There was nothing where I could go to it and say, oh, well, that's different from Christianity, or oh, that makes sense to me. It was very much non-existent.
And I think part of that reason is because, just like yourself, our culture was taken away from us, literally stripped to the ground and obliterated. Like, we had no idea. Well, we did, but, when you're whipped into submission, hung, castrated, then fear sets in. And once fear sets in, either these oral traditions are then stopped, or these oral traditions will continue regardless regardless of whatever dialect or tongue, excuse me, one's speaking. Unfortunately, a lot of these oral traditions just didn't pass down from generation to generation. So, just like yourself, man, I mean, coming across these concepts and these ideas takes a lot of research and takes a lot of self-awareness. And also, I mean, we're really not taught about these things in our quote-unquote education or academia or the academic system. Like, for example, let's take our fellow brothers in Tamarí, right, better known as Egypt, or the ancient Nile Valley civilization, right? So we have these principles, right? Some people call them gods and goddesses. I don't know. I believe it's a misnomer, but let's just take these principles of the divine female concept and the divine male concept, right? And we put ourselves, right? So, for example, right, Brother Reg, right? Say, like, I'll say, okay, brother, you're Tahuti, right? That you can use this principle when you're writing your screenplays, to manifest that principle within you, right? So you have a direction to go to say, oh, okay, I could put myself in this higher state of consciousness so I can get myself through whatever I'm getting to or getting at in whatever paradigm that I am. So I have a reference point, right, to what my ancestors thought and how they thought about writing.
Mhm.
Or, you know, I could be in a situation and I say, man, I need strength right now. Where can I pull that strength from? Well, I could say, man, I need raw, R-A. I need raw. I need energy. I need a source right now. And, in the ancient Nile Valley civilization, that was represented by the sun.
Right.
Or the sun disk. And so that's energy. Some people call it the chi, right? These principles and concepts are very, very deep. Now, they're all based on nature and human psychology. And it's unfortunate because when these principles aren't taught, and we look at, for example, like some of the scrolls and some of the glyphs or the hieroglyphs or the Meta Nature, and we don't know what they're saying, and then we have other people interpret it for us, and then on top of that we have media like talk about the Egyptians and have no clue. I mean, you look at some of these shows or whatever. I can't remember what the latest show. I think it's some dumb King Tut show right now where they're having this white dude playing, one of our ancestors. It's on, I can't remember, it's on the Sci-Fi Channel or I can't remember. Anyway, it's not that important. But it's just the idea that when we see our ancestors or what they believed in and they taught, and it's put in front of us and interpreted in such a way that's so watered down that we just look at it like, oh, okay, that's nice. It's just there.
Well, let me jump in for a second. I'm not sure if it's so much watered down as it is just we're not taught about it. I mean, like you said, if it's not passed down orally from generation to generation, then you tend to the one generation doesn't know because the previous generation didn't tell them, and then the previous generation they've forgotten it, and so what we end up with is being in the present and just learning about whatever culture is in the masses. And, of course, the culture that we're all learning is a white culture, basically. And all of that ties into trying to fit in and trying to make it, in the system. And it just gets beyond confusing because if you want to fit in, you don't want to stand out. You're going to stand out if you're holding on to, a culture that you believe in and that you're from, and that would actually make you feel better and probably lift you up as a person. But if that's not the status quo or that's not the standard, then that's not what's being taught. That's not what's being talked about. So, when we do something like what we're doing, I'm sure, we're going to have listeners who they're like, we have no idea what they're talking about. Why are they talking about that? Why do they even want to learn about their ancestry? And if someone asks that question, then it's very obvious that their ancestry has never been taken away from them, and they can always talk about theirs. So it's a very, gosh, I can't even come up with the words because I don't know. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to adjust. I'm trying to integrate, all that was back into this present of, all that is. So it's a confusing time, I guess.
Yeah, man. I mean, I mean, when you're talking about going from a god to a goddess to now you have no idea and you're just really, maybe I shouldn't use the word mental slave. Maybe I should use mentally ignorant, if that's a word, about your history for so many reasons. That may be a better way to describe the situation. However, once a person comes across this information and then they still attribute themselves to that same mental enslavement, then we have to start questioning, why is this person still doing the same routine over and over again? Why is this person still trapped in this mentality of enslavement? Why is this person still going through the same routine over and over and over again, and not trying to at least incorporate some of these principles and concepts that predates, the three major religions? So what do you think, man? Why do you think some people can't break those mental chains, man?
Because there's no safety in that. There's no large numbers. There's no direction. There are no mentors. There's no basically it's like trying to build or reconstruct a past that existed that it's taken society a lot of time to eradicate and to dismiss. So for those generations, my generation, your generation after that, it just gets so watered down that it's hard to believe that, we came from, this royalty or from kings and queens, or that we were the first peoples here, because that's not the story that's being told. That's not what's in the media. That's not what's in movies. That's not what is being portrayed. I mean, basically we're brainwashed every single day, and brainwashing, I mean that in a, I don't mean it in a positive sense, but we're taught certain things, or there are certain lessons that we learn every single day. So if you're inundated with white culture, then that's the culture that you're going to adjust to. And so going from, being enslaved, against our will, now we have a society that's basically saying, okay, if you want to survive in this society, then you have to do this, this, and this. Get a good education, get a job, and become a part of society, which I think most of us have fallen in line and done. I think at some point in your life, you may turn around and say, wow, that was kind of a lie. This is not what I should be doing at all. Maybe I should be reaching back into my culture to see where I came from, because then that'll give me a better direction with where I should be going in the future. But I guess to answer your question, it's because it's difficult, and things that are difficult take time, and it also takes a lot of, having an open mind, and also maybe getting along with people that you don't particularly like. All of these things come into play. So I think that we just have to continue to get the message out there and to try to put it in some type of rhetoric where not only our generation understands, but then the younger generation understands. And, once we get on that, then it should hopefully be better.
Yes, hope, 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 hope. This is the build 720. Calling number 516-666-9835. That's 516-666-9835. The build 720. Yeah, definitely, man. When you talk about the three major religions, um, we're talking about the religions that are very chauvinistic. It's not. It doesn't have an androgynous concept like our ancient ancestors had, right? In terms of kind of the essence, the creation in itself, and then from that essence comes everything: man, woman, child, bugs, earth, air, fire, elements, etc. Where I'm just gonna just be straight up about it. I'm not even gonna just go around the bush. I'm not gonna beat around the bush on this topic. It's basically, as I said before, definitely a he thing. I mean, I've heard people say God being he from out of a woman's mouth. Am I wrong? I mean, have you experienced that where a woman will say and refer to God as he?
Well, yeah, I think most of society refers to God as he. Even people who are agnostic or who don't believe in it, I think they still refer to it as he because yes, it's a white male dominated society. So when you are putting things out there for people to learn or for people to know, then you want to put it in your likeness somehow. I mean, it would make no sense for our present society to say, oh, nature, but that's more truth than, oh, there's this he God who does everything. So yes, I've experienced that as well.
And it's amazing to me because, like, when I ran across these individuals, and I'm not going to name these individuals, and they keep saying he, and I'm like, well, could the he actually be a she as well? Or why do you keep saying he? Do you keep saying she? Actually, man, I think one day I want to take the camera out and go out into the street and ask people, what their concept of God is. Is it a he or is it a she? Just to get people's opinion. I think that would be a very interesting video to do.
Sure.
Just to get some feedback. But yeah, man, I mean, it's just amazing to me. When I especially hear these Bible thumpers and they're going around, well, he can do this for you. Jesus can do this for you. Or if you're talking about Islam, Allah can do this for you. When I heard, and if this is, I might be incorrect, but I think it actually, once again, when you talk about etymology, came from a word called alat with the T, and that's actually a feminine principle. So, once again, we're going from a creation principle to a masculine principle. And it's amazing because when I look at, some of these types of levels of understanding through certain religions and practices, and I look at, like, for example, when I know in some masjids, you go in there and then you'll have the man up front and the woman in the back. And even just the practice of it is usually the man and then his male companions, may that be his father, son, whatever. And then the women are in the back, may that be the mother, the wife, etc. And it's just odd to me. It really is, because I'm like, if anybody should be up front, it should be the wife, the mom. The
Right.
divine mother that gives birth to the human race. And it's just so absurd to me when I see that. And that's one reason why I had to bounce, because I was like, I can't do this. Just for me, in my humble opinion. Some people say, oh, it's a matter of protection. I was like, nah, not really. I mean, right now you're talking about you're doing some type of religious thing right here, and you should actually incorporate the whole family, in my humble opinion. Just do like a prayer circle. You know what I mean? If it's a family thing. And, so you can get that 360 energy in everybody, just like the sun disk, right? How the sun is 360, and how, you can have the prayer circles to complete that energy cycle. See, man, like, a lot of people just don't think like that. They think, oh, it's just about me and there's nothing else. And it's a shame, man, especially when it comes to women. And I know feminism is one thing, but to actually get yourself on a higher level of consciousness is another, especially when you talk about women. Because, like, I used to, and sometimes, I still call women goddesses, and some women are cool with that. Other women are looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, what do you mean? Why are you calling me this? You should try it a couple times, man. See how people react. Or ladies.
Oh, sure. I feel like I'm being set up for something, but okay, yeah, sure, I'll do that.
Make sure you have a recorder with you, man, to get the person's reaction.
Right.
All right, man. So we got about 2 minutes left in this program. I think it's been a pretty good build. And this is the Build 720, calling number 516-666-9835. So, man, like, in terms of, the male and female relationship, I mean, we could talk about it from an intimate level or non-intimate level. Do you think if we went to a God and goddess principle more, do you think that would kind of help out our relationship between one another? Or do you think it would just be whatever, and then we would still kind of have, that, what's the word I want to use? Kind of like standoff attitude?
That's a tough question, because I don't know. There are differences between male and female. There are always going to be differences. There's a difference in thought. There's a difference in reaction. Supposedly, the majority of males are, not that emotional, and then, females are emotional. But I guess it's a combination, because everything isn't exact. There is no all males are, not emotional and all females are emotional. So recognizing ourselves as gods and goddesses, or trying to put that into, I'm getting some major feedback.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, hold on a second.
Sure.
All right, is that better?
I think so. Yes. So, referring to ourselves,
we got about, I'll let you continue, but I got to close out the show. This is the Build 720. We're out. You guys take care. Keep doing what you do. Live, love, be one, be real, and we're out. Peace. All right, bro. The show has stopped streaming, but sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead, bro.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say, in order to refer to ourselves as gods and goddesses, we have to actually believe it. And so, that takes on a whole nother thing of trying to get into that mindset, wherein, you know, we live in a society that doesn't see us as that. So now we're trying to, you know, bolster ourselves or educate ourselves about it, and we can have this pride, but it has to be I think it has to be a full-on community thing. I mean, it can't be like 5 or 6 of us going around calling each other that, and that's it. I mean, I think like the whole community has to feel it, or at least know it, just to have that knowledge, you know, of where we came from. If it would help relationships between male and female, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, when you feel good about yourself, I think that's a good thing with interacting with everyone. So maybe it could.
Yeah, man. Hopefully it would. I mean, I think, you know, and it's a shame, man, because, I mean, regardless of quote-unquote color, people's race or background, I mean, to even just say hello is very difficult, you know, in the society today,
Right.
because we're just so stuck on our iPhones, iPads, or whatever gadget. You know, we send out these emails, or we text, or we comment, and there's not like a lot of human interaction in a way. You know, not a lot of verbal communication, and so, but when we do, it's like, you know, I think some of us, in particular with Black people, you know, because, you know, we have been enslaved for so long that when we look at one another, it becomes a hostile situation instead of like back in the day. I mean, even in the 60s and 70s, I mean, you still had that kind of mental slavery, but at least you felt like, oh, okay, people were more apt to call each other, "What's up, sister?" You know, "What's up, brother?"
Right.
You know,
Right.
"What's up, family?" You know.
Because
today,
I think they were still so close to it. That's why that worked, and that, you know, people understood. Like, we've gotten too far away from it.
Very true, man. Very true. Well, hopefully, you know, we can, you know, bring it back. And I think that's why it's important to understand, you know, about culture, especially about, you know, the historical culture of our ancients, because it's like, I think once we understand about that, then we can form some type of unity. But I'm telling you, man, in just my humble opinion, when your God is specifically a he, you know, and as you mentioned, you know, I mean, even when you talk about the paintings, you know, that have done historically on God being this white man with a beard and like looking like Santa, it's just like, this is ridiculous, man. Like, this is a man-made picture here. I mean, you talk about any of the so-called prophets out of the Bible, it's like man did that. I mean, the universe creates like what it is, like trees, air, and all that other stuff. That has, even in the concept level, has everything to do with everything. But and you brought up a good point. I mean, when you have an image of a he, like in the sky, oh, let me look to the sky to see if this is gonna help me. Nah, I'm sorry, man. Like I commented on somebody's page one time. I can't exactly remember where it was, and in my response to her, I said, you know, unfortunately, sister, Jesus ain't gonna come down to help you and save you. And the only way, and I'm paraphrasing, the only way that you can help yourself is you got to do for yourself. Now I didn't say look for the goddess within or anything like that, but and a lot of times people will look up to the sky, and oftentimes it's just from within. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So is there anything else you want to say, brother?
Nope, I'm good.
All right, fam. Well, this is the Build 720. I know we ran a little bit over today, but I think we had to get it in and throw these levels of understanding out there so we can keep building and try to live, love, and be prosperous. All right, fam. We out. Peace.